Hello everyone and welcome back to the Red Sea podcast. This is Dennis as always. I am sadly solo today and I am closer than usual. I don't know why the camera is so moved in. But yeah, what a couple of days to be an Olympiacos fan, what a couple of days to celebrate as an Olympiacos fan. And after the incredible win in the EuroLeague as well, we're here to, for a start, at least, talk about the football. And finally, after God knows how many years, being back in the Champions League knockouts. But before anything, I want to get a couple of things out. First things first, for those of you that haven't seen and that follow the show, because there is a lot of you that are relatively new here. Like the channel beat the 400 milestone yesterday, and it's already up to 418, I think, which is mental. So hi, hello, if you are new. Do go check out the backlog and everything. You love the content, I'm sure, and I hope you stay for everything chaotic Olympiacos. What I wanted to say is that for those of you that don't know, our main Instagram account has been suspended. It's basically been put in limbo ever since the 26th, ever since right after the Leverkusen game, and I'm still waiting on an appeal response. So I went and made a backup. And that backup is now the Instagram link in the description. So for everything you need, whether you're old, whether you're new, if you want to interact, if you want to follow, if you like what you see and want more content from me, and of course, it's not just me on the show, do go check out all the links below. They are correct now. And hopefully, we have our main Instagram back soon. Now, I don't want to delay things much longer because we have a lot to say. Let's get into the football. What a game. What a game. Of course, Olympiacos beat Ajax 1-2. We did lead the game with a goal in the 52nd minute from who else but Gelson Martins. We'll talk about everyone in detail, at least the more notable performances. Then, of course, about 17 minutes after the goal, a very unlucky penalty gets given in favor of Ajax from a Christos Mezangitis handball, which Stolberg ultimately converts from a really unsavable penalty. But then, around 10 minutes after that, the man that hadn't even touched the net this season, the man that only scores on the most crucial moments, and arguably the MVP of both yesterday and the Leverkusen game, Santiago Esse scores an absolute screamer to send us through to the knockout stages. The knockout stages of which, again, for those of you that don't follow me, especially on Twitter, the knockout stages of which, when we last took part in, I was 10. I am now 21, almost 22. It's still shocking to me. It's been about a day and I still, no, actually it's like 22:12. I haven't processed it. I'm still relatively in shock. I feel like we all are quite a bit in shock. Not with how the team played, because it's what Mendy ultimately said, as insane as it sounds to us. It's what they do in training. It's what they prepare for, and they deserve it. It's as simple as that. they deserve this qualification. They've earned this qualification. And yet, it's still a historic achievement. Going 3-for-3 in a game that is against an unknown relatively side in the freezing cold of Kazakhstan, then going to play a very fierce German side in Bayer Leverkusen, and then finishing off the campaign with Ajax that do have something to play for, because in the end they did have something to play for, despite how off form an Ajax maybe, it's still Ajax, would have seemed damn near impossible these past few years. But under Mendilibar, honestly, everything seems possible now. This man, in under 2 years, in under 2 full years, this man has given us our first European trophy, making our wildest dream come true. Of course, he's won a league, he's won a cup, he's won a super cup. He's gotten us to the top 8 of the Europa League. He has gotten us the much needed, much wanted, much deserved Champions League qualification from a league phase, mind you, that people were saying that a Greek team and that Olympiacos would never have a chance to qualify in. We were not only projected by data to finish outside of the top 24, but we massively defy the odds once again, because that's what Mendilibar's Olympiacos does best. It defies the odds, it defies expectations, it breaks them, it destroys them. And we finished 18th. We didn't just qualify, we finished top half. We didn't just barely scrape in, we finished top half. And looking back at the campaign, looking back at what happened, we took 3 losses out of 8. And those 3 losses were from 3 contenders of the trophy. It was a loss, no matter how it came, to Barcelona. It was a loss that we were so close to it not happening, to Real Madrid. And then it was probably the most deserved loss of the 3 to Arsenal. Then, of course, it's the draws. It's the draw against Paphos that started this campaign in probably the most pessimistic way possible. That started this campaign in probably the most mentality lowering way possible. And then it's that heartbreaking draw against Eindhoven, in which, of course, Zelson scored one of his 3 crucial goals. And then we conceded very, 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 very late. And we leave the game with just a +1 when we really deserved that +3. And then you have the seemingly impossible task back then to win 3 from the 3 remaining, to have faith in your hands, and to qualify. And then we go to Kairat. Then we go to Kairat. An environment unknown, a team unpredictable, and struggles expected. I think that's some safe things to say from what we expected from the game against Karat Almaty. Karat, of course, a team that miraculously found themselves in the Champions League. Deservingly so as well, of course. And a team that we didn't know what would happen. Of course, with last year's shenanigans against Bodo Glimt, we also didn't know what to really expect from it all. And then Zelson happens again. Zelson scores a much needed goal, and a goal that ultimately I'm very sorry about the chair. I hope that's not that much picked up by the mic. A goal that ultimately proved to give us another crucial part of our qualification. And then, of course, it was Leverkusen time. Leverkusen, who I originally, if you go back to look at what I had predicted for results, you laugh because I was so off. I will at least take pride in being one of the only people that said from the beginning that we would win against Ajax. But Leverkusen, who I feared originally, but as time went on, even with Ten Hag getting sacked and stuff like that, and the team improving, there was a feeling that after Karat, these boys would push and give everything, but it still was uncertainty. And we go in and we score in the second minute. Costinha picking up, of course, his first goal for Olympiacos and putting us ahead, completely destroying Leverkusen mentally. Leverkusen that had countless chances, mind you. But of course, Zolakis did what Zolakis does best. And then, after an incredible Mehdi Taremi goal, we went 2-0 there. And then, of course, we go to Amsterdam. Amsterdam, a place where we had never won. Amsterdam, also a place where we had never scored a goal. And then history happens. Of course, with that incredible 1-2 by Mehdi Taremi and Zelson to make it 1-0 early, and that screamer of a goal by Santiago. Yes. So as I said, to slowly finish this segment off and go fully into the game itself, with Mendilibar everything's possible. And we'll talk about our possible opponents in a bit towards the end. And on probably Saturday morning, I am planning to do a bit of a special, given that we'll know the opponents tomorrow. I'll probably write an article tomorrow as well. And to combine it a bit with some transfer talk about Andre Luis, who I'll touch on just a bit. I haven't done my proper research yet, so it will more than anything be opinionated today. But getting into the game itself, chaotic to say the least, right? Because the first half, it was a tale of two halves, this game, in my opinion at least. The first half, Ajax had chance after chance after chance, and so on and so forth, with it ending up with their expected goals being 0.84, with 2 big chances and 6 total shots, to our 0 big chances and 3 total shots. Scores 1-1 on the saves. And in general, Ajax was way more threatening. Technically, it was just 1 shot on target, but given the chances they missed, that doesn't say the whole story of the first half. And as a general image, we looked second best heading into halftime, and stuff was looking a bit bleak in general as well, given the situation with other games. So I think it's safe to say that we all felt just a tad bit nervous, just a tad. And then the second half happens, in which, mind you, because when I saw that, I was going to say, like, surely this isn't right. Our expected goals in the second half were 0.33, which in and of itself screams on how good those goals were. Both of them. And of course, Ajax had the 1.04 expected goal to their name, but we picked it up. We picked it up insanely. We just boxed Ajax in, and it was a different game. There is no better way to say this. It was a completely different game in the second half, in which Olympiacos, even after the penalty and momentum really shifting, it was a whole different game. I feel like Pirola's injury hurt the momentum more than even the penalty did. But these boys were determined. And it's safe to say that I don't think anyone doubts their legendary status at this point. Now, though, getting into performances in general, Jolagis, that penalty was absolutely unsavable. Let's not kid ourselves. Stolberg scored a nuclear missile. But in general, again, he was there when we needed him. We thankfully didn't need him as much. But the player can call back to, especially above anything, is that blocked through ball with the knee, in which, of course, the ball did end up to. Let me actually check the player's name, because I don't remember him. Oscar Gluck, I think, is how you pronounce that. I'm sorry if I completely butchered that. Who, of course, Oscar, let's call him Oscar, sent it sky high, thankfully, but that was an insane block on the through ball for Jolagis. And in general, as I said, we didn't need him that much. But he was there. He made the two saves he needed. He had a successful run out, a successful high claim and everything. And he was the Jolagis we all know and love. But the main reason we didn't really need him as much is this man. What a game by Panos Retsos. I wrote it on the post yesterday that there are very few players in the history of his club that have adapted the captain's role better than Retsos, and there is even fewer in his club that have felt the captain's burden of Olympiacos deeper in their soul than Retsos has. Retsos pulled out a Maldini masterclass. Is the best way to place it, I think. Putting in a full 90 shift, of course, having 10 defensive contributions, winning all of his tackles, 3 interceptions, 3 clearances, of which one of them was at the death of the game on the line. A magical clearance on the line at the death of the game that, as I said yesterday, was as game-winning as the goals were absolutely magical by Panos Rechos. He also had an incredible block. He had 3 recoveries. He won 4 out of his 6 ground duels. He won all of his aerial duels. He had 1 last man tackle and he didn't get dribbled past. He didn't get dribbled past. Ahead of that, he had 70% on his accurate passes with 23 out of 33. Then he had, of course, 10 out of 17 passes in opposition half and 13 out of 16 passes in his own half. So even in the passing department, when you look at Panos, it's unbelievable. It's his performance. His performance was unbelievable. I can't believe it. I feel like I'll have to pause here and there to actually process that I'm here. It's a shame. It's a big shame that I'm here solo. But I feel like I'll have to pause once in a while to actually process that I am talking about Olympiacos qualifying for the Champions League knockouts after 3 straight wins in the competition. It's still a bit surreal. It's still a bit unbelievable. And then I feel like yesterday's emotions are floating out again. But it's just a sense of joy, of course. It's a sense of celebrations and it's a sense of pride, if anything. It's a sense of pride because going back to my earlier point, you don't, even we can't comprehend what this Olympiacos team can do. And that's the beauty of what Mendy and these boys bring. I feel like we're in for one of our most historic years and we haven't even fully processed it yet, if that makes sense. We will see. Honestly, we'll see. I have no words. I have no true words, and yet I'll be here blabbering solo for about an hour probably until I actually get through everything I want to get through. Now, moving on to his partner on the right, Costinha. Another 90-minute shift in, another crucial shift in. Costinha once again, after that wonderful game against Bayer Leverkusen, proving why he should be our starting right back. Costinha letting nothing through the right. He let nothing past. He had 9 defensive contributions to his name. He won 1 out of his 2 tackles. He had 3 interceptions, 3 clearances to his name, 1 block shot. He had 8 recoveries. He won 6 out of his 7 ground duels. He won his only aerial duel. And he also didn't get dribbled past. Another stat, though, that I want to focus on in regards to Costinha is his 11.3 kilometers covered. This man, along with one of our scorers, which I'll get into in a bit, is a machine. Costinha has been an absolute robot out there. He's been a robot. And he may not have had, of course, 13 sprints to his name as well. He may not have had a goal to his name, but he did have 4 shots to his name, with, of course, one of them being on target. So he was active on both ends, not just efficiently, not just correctly, but incredibly, in my opinion. And in addition to that, he had 78% on accuracy in the passing department with 21 out of 27. Now, sadly, of course, Lorenzo Pirola was out injured. Again, worryingly so on the on the 28th minute, after he just came back, not only from a long-term injury, but we had heard that Lorenzo Pirola did feel some discomfort in training, so he was a doubt, but he ultimately did start, which perhaps shouldn't have happened in hindsight. But we await to see what the official diagnosis is on Lorenzo Pirola, and how long one of our most impressive and consistent players will be out for. But after that, in came this man, Mayor Julian Biancon. We've been singing the praises of Julian for a while now, me and Gav, ever since he first was here, ever since the show first began, really. And despite his flaws and inconsistencies, we always eventually get proven right. I feel like I always say the same statement about Julian, and I'll stick by it. I don't think there is a better option for Olympiacos to come off the bench at the center back and in general in the defense, not just at the center back position, for many reasons. Because similar to how some of my comments described Tyson Ward and Tyreek Jones in basketball, Julian is an energizer. Julian not only brings you safety, but he brings passion. He doesn't just wake up the fans, he wakes up the goddamn team. We'll show the photo. I sadly haven't transferred it over to the laptop, so I can't actually bring it up. But he won possession at the death and celebrated it like he scored. And that's not the first time I point you back to a celebration in the Karaiskakis. I'm pretty sure it was a derby. I just don't remember which, towards the end of last season, which he ran around the whole pitch in celebration after a successful defense. And in general, the passion that Julian Biancon brings is unmatched. And the positives that he brings are unmatched as well, because uncomparatively to Pandos Chretsos, to Lorenzo Pirola, he's not that much of a physical presence, but he's a complete presence. If anything, I've given him his praise, I've given him his credit, especially passing wise, and being able to basically be the link between the defense and the midfield. And sometimes with his change of game and his long balls and everything and anything going straight to the attack, that's even been mind-blowing to me. But of course, he had 3 defensive contributions, 3 clearances, 1 recovery, won 1 out of his 2 ground duels, won 2 out of his 2 aerial duels, and he didn't yet dribble past either. He had 35 touches to his name. He had 62% accurate passes, 18 out of 29. And of course, he had, let me actually pull that up, he had 7 sprints to his name that amounted to 7.3 kilometers. He was a safe presence in the back, a very safe presence in the back. Someone that brought the energy needed for the team to wake up. And someone that ultimately ended up as an unsung hero of our qualification, for damn sure. And going to a man that didn't really get his praises sung going from a man that didn't really get his praises sung to a man that showed up like a divine presence for us to get at least the last 2 out of the 3 wins, and that's super essay. It's not even Santiago essay anymore, it's super essay. Of course, I saw this comment and I wanna actually bring it up. As I said, an absolute screamer. Because there is no other way to describe that goal. Please do go see it if you somehow live under a rock and haven't seen it yet. It was an absolute screamer. But that wasn't even the best part of his presence on the field yesterday. Because yes, he scored a late winner, which is not just unbelievable, but unforgettable. This man only scores when it's crucial. We always said that. Keep in mind the example of Aston Villa. But it's as simple as he was everywhere. Again playing a full 90. And is there even a way to describe what he did on the field? Is there even a way that stats can actually touch on what he did? It's a comment I got on the Leverkusen show that 70% of the earth is covered by water, and the other 30 is covered by Santiago Esse. It's a site that's unable to be processed. It's a player that's unable to be described. Ever since this man solidified himself as a starter again, for which, mind you, he should have never left the starting 11. We've said that before. But ever since he solidified himself as a starter again, the team feels different. Along with Musa, who of course wasn't amazing yesterday. He got very unlucky as well, but I'm not gonna just maul over the kid, right? He's owed a bad day. He's been incredible all season. But on a more general note, alongside Musa and now with the ever-improving Scipioni as well when needed, the midfield is ours, whether we play Volos, Ajax or Real Madrid. It's a whole different presence in that midfield duo. And you have a man that fits every style known to football. Okay, he's effective defensively. He has block shots. He has interceptions. He has recoveries. He has clearances. He has everything in between. He's effective passing-wise. He's consistent. He's accurate. He can bring the ball up. I don't think anyone doubted his passing ability, by the way. I don't think there was anyone that really doubted that he could pull off. For example, he had 1 key pass and 27 out of 31 accurate passes to his name. And then, out of nowhere, after a very long time, he scores a goal that stat-wise and expected goal-wise, and I cannot state that enough. Bring out your notepads and note it down. The expected goal meter on Santiago Esse's goal is not 0.5, is 0.05. The expected, I will repeat myself, the expected goal meter for the goal that Santiago Esse scored is not 0.5, it's 0.05. So again, for those of you that somehow, some way haven't actually seen the goal yet, even if you missed the game, which is understandable sometimes. If you haven't seen the goal, please do yourselves the favor and go see it, because it will be considered as one of the goals of the season. For goddamn sure. For goddamn sure. And I damn well know that it's a goal that will never be forgotten by Ese, by the team, by me, by us, and whatever you want to say. It's all correct. This one, this is actually a setup to a mini parenthesis. Again, for those of you that don't follow me in the socials, please go do so. But Opta Analysis came out today with some updated odds for how each team can do in the Champions League. And I don't necessarily remember the odds in general. I think we're at 42% to make the round of 16, which again, they're pretty good odds. And we'll get into my predictions and stuff as well, and talk about the teams as well. But the very interesting thing was the winners column that gave us 0.1% to win the Champions League. And I will say that again, as I posted on earlier today on all socials. I'm not implying anything, but those odds seem quite familiar to me, and just think back, and you'll know what I mean. If you know, you know. It's that type of implication. But of course, all jokes aside, even the fact that we can sit here and joke about it, like, oh, we're gonna go win the Champions League. I feel like I'll repeat myself a lot of times in this episode and further forward, that it all goes back to one point. And that one point is that under Mendilibar, everything's possible. Everything. I'm not saying we're going to go win the Champions League, but go back 2.5 years and tell me that on this day today, we're going to have won the Conference League. We're going to have won a league, a cup, and a Super Cup. Last year, we would go on to have the best defense in the Europa League. Last year, we would go on to have El Khabi be joint top scorer in the competition and be top scorer in a European competition 2 years in a row. And this year, we would be sitting in late January with the squad that we have. Yes, out of the cup, but very much in the league and being in the knockouts of the Champions League. With just to add that to the parenthesis so I don't forget, with direct qualification to the Champions League and now being basically a certainty if we go on and win the Super League. For the second year in a row, direct qualification to the Champions League. What Mendy has done already has him deserving a statue. And I'll still Gav's words from a conversation we had with another very close friend of the channel, Ian. Even if Mendilibar, of course it's not going to happen, but I'm trying to make a point here. Even if Mendilibar went on to never win a game again with Olympiacos, He'd still be our greatest coach of all time. And I don't think anyone's gonna debate me on that. But because that's never gonna happen, with the success that's yet to come in the next year and a half, 2 years, God knows, however long Mehdi wants to stay at the club, I think that at this rate we may have to copy Man United and give the man a Gate name. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's indescribable. It's unbelievable, and it's everything in between. Getting back into the game now. No. And getting back to this man. He shut me up quite fast. Gelson Martins. Playing 88 minutes, I'm sorry. I was quite critical of him in the first half, as were most people. Some more than critical, undeservingly so, as usual. And then he came out in the second half, scored, and incredibly told us all to shut the fuck up. In a way. Gelson has been one of our most productive players. Gelson in the Champions League has been a different kind of monster. Not just effectiveness-wise, not just clinicality-wise, not just quickness-wise, not just passing-wise, but everything combined. As I analyzed as we started the show, he is one of, if not the main reason we qualified for the knockout stages, having gotten us basically being the reason for 2 wins and a draw, especially a win and a draw against Kairat and PSV Eindhoven. And of course, as I said, yesterday he decided to come out in the second half and ball out. Of course, scoring that incredible goal that similarly to Santiago Esse had an expected goal meter of 0.1. 0.1. The goals were amazing, and I can't state that enough. Of course, his only real shot on target. He had 71% on passing accuracy. Dribbling-wise, he was great. He had 39 touches. He carried the ball for 240 meters with 17 carries, 6 progressive. And of course, he covered a lot of distance. He covered 11 kilometers. And as always, he was very, very crucial when he decided to show the fuck up and ball the hell out. Now, literally, I at least can't recall another player that has proven me so wrong. And I could not be ever happier about it. Of course, we all sang the praise of Remy up until a point where he was coming off the bench and being an absolute killer sub. But after a point, especially after AFCON started, he started being a regular in the starting 11, of course, with Yaremchuk not really being up to it in hindsight. And in the end, of course, Roman Yaremchuk has more than likely left for Olympique Lyon. And I was critical of him. I was very critical of him because I didn't think he was performing up to his standards. And then he started performing up to his standards again. Everyone is owed a bad run of form, and I've said that before, I'll say it again. And again, this is a prime example of what I advise you and what I tell you on. Sometimes emotion will get the best of us. We're all human, but we need to use critical thinking. We need to use critical thinking when talking about Olympiacos. We need to be critical, not insane. Of course, I didn't say anything bad about Taremi, but I was very wrong in hindsight. And again, I couldn't be happier being that wrong. And adding to his incredible goal contribution tally in general, but also in the Champions League, with him having 2 goals and 2 assists, if I am correct. I think he has 2 goals and 2 assists in the Champions League. A wonderful assist. Of course, he played the full 90, deservingly so. Ayoub El-Kabi was the worst of the pair. He kept pressing. He was everywhere. He covered 12 kilometers, which is unbelievable distance. Of course, a crazy assist, a crazy one to and a crazy assist. And again, similar to the effect Santiago Essa had, he was constantly there. Constantly. He kept pressing, he kept forcing mistakes, he kept finding teammates, he did everything he could, and then some. He did everything he could, and then some. Again, more than props to Mehdi Taremi. And I'm glad he's staying. I'm more than glad he's staying. Now, I feel like I have to get up and applaud Lolo Scipioni, an Argentine bulldog, to say the least, in the midfield. A presence unused up until very recently, getting minimal chances, being very man-managed. A presence that had shown us some great signs in the game against Pana when he came in. But then he didn't get a lot of chances. And then he started coming in more and more and performing better and better. And yesterday, he was the absolute definition of a game closer. He was once again seemingly flawless. He had 9 out of 10 accurate passes, an incredible 9 out of 10. He had a very solid 40-meter carrying distance. He had 2 contributions. His tackle won a very important clearance and a very important recovery. And he, again, like a mini tank, like a mini S, he was everywhere. And he closed the game out perfectly. And speaking of a game closer, the other man that came in with Lolo Scipioni, Chiquinho. Chiquinho, of course, with an assist to his name. He came in the place of the quite lackluster Ayoub El-Kabi, coming in at his natural position, right at the 10, right behind the striker. He had the accurate cross of the assist. He had literally 100% on his passing accuracy. He had 17 touches. He had 1 defensive contribution. He even tracked back. And, of course, he had an impact only Chiquinho can have. No one else can have an impact like that on a game. Our biggest bargain, our most consistent player, one of our, if not our most class player in the squad, and a player that nonetheless is irreplaceable, completely replaceable. Now, as we leave the league phase behind us, we look towards these two. Atalanta and Bayer Leverkusen. Two opponents, fierce, two opponents not to be underestimated. Of course, when we know tomorrow, as I said at the start of the show, I am going to write an article. I'm going to do my proper research and I'm going to write an article for whoever ends up in our way. Atalanta, of course, last time we faced them, we don't have the best memories of what happened, but it's been a while. Since then, we are on a whole different stratosphere now, so maybe there is some motivation there. And of course, Bayer Leverkusen is still a fierce opponent. It's still one of the biggest powerhouses in Germany. But the confidence is there. The momentum is there against them. And maybe one win wasn't enough and we are going to knock them out for good from the competition. There's no easy path now. Now, if we needed everyone at their 1,000% before, we need everyone at their 1,000,000% now. That's even an understatement. But to slowly end off, I said I was going to talk about him for a bit, and I will. Speaking of a man that will help us, the best in Portugal, a man that, honestly, a man that was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Let me bring up, if possible, do give me a millisecond to bring back his stats, because looking at the games, his stats actually went down. He's the top search in SofaScore. That's funny. Of course, he's the top search in SofaScore. Of course, deemed as the most effective winger in the Liga Portugal. He's an incredible high presser. He is amazing on the pressing, and that alone shows a lot of positives in regards to what we can expect from him under Mendilibar. He has, of course, 19 appearances. He has 17 starts with his name. He's averaging around 80 per game with 1,500 minutes. With 5 team of the weeks, he has 7 goals to his name. He has 5 assists as well. And in general, as I said, I'm going to do a transfer talk. I'm going to do a transfer talk probably on Saturday. It's a much needed reinforcement in a position where people are either injured or underperforming. So, especially in the Champions League, but domestically as well, we'll see greatness from this man. And I truly, truly believe that the greatness will start on Sunday against Ajax. I really, truly, and utterly believe that. And I have him scoring. if he plays. If he plays normal minutes, I have him scoring. I'll say that publicly as well. But yeah, closing in on about an hour, which is exactly what I predicted. I'm gonna start to close up. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope I portrayed that celebration feeling I still feel. I'll see you all tomorrow for basketball talk to cover the incredible statement win against Barcelona. And then on Saturday for transfer chatter and for us to see what we can be waiting for on the knockout phase of the Champions League. Go check out all the links below. Like, subscribe if you like what you see and all that good stuff. We are well on our way to 500, which is not something I expected, but I appreciate you all for that immensely. The support you're giving me, even having to start basically over while I fight to get my account back on Instagram, is unbelievable. It's indescribable, and I am eternally grateful as always. So, it's a perfect way to end this. See you all soon. Thank you.